Alright, now that you have collected and analyzed your data, it's time to present it. And a very easy way or common way to present data is through a graph. Graphs can tell us a lot of different things and can be really meaningful. And so that is what we are going to create. This is a great website for creating graphs. And it's got great tutorials and help along the way. So don't panic. It should actually be a lot of fun. First, you need to choose what kind of graph you are going to create. In the presentation, there was a little link to the different kinds of graphs, but I'll give you a little hint that for most of your presentations, you're going to want to use a bar graph and a pie graph. So let's start and say we're going to create a bar graph for our data. You'll see these toggles along the side are the different information you are going to enter, and then along this side over here is help. So there's a tutorial, there's examples, definitions, a lot of great information along the way. So we're creating a bar graph. We're going to create it vertically. If you want to try something horizontal or even 3D and have a little fun with it, go for it. This other kind of stuff would be more if we had used maybe gender identification or something to separate out two types of data. But right now we just have teenagers and whatever variable your question has. Also, if you want to do fun designs, that's all up to you, but really what we need is just a bar graph. And then the data. This is where we're really going to be concerned. So the graph title is going to be something based along your question. So it can just be simply, what is your question? Like, how many minutes do you spend texting? Teens, when we say teens, spend texting. So then we need to think about, on our bar graph, we have an x-axis and a y-axis, remember? And it shows little arrows here. The x-axis is the horizontal, and the y-axis is the vertical. So on our x-axis, we would put our variable, which is how many minutes. Our y-axis would be the number of teenagers. And the source is the person who did the research. So in this case, you put your name there. Our data set is the number of items and groups of items. So you were supposed to ask 20 teenagers a question. Did you get 20 different answers or did you get 5 different answers? This determines how many bars we're going to have. So let's say we got 6 different answers. You're going to see that down here it repopulates to have 6 items. So let's say that we asked kids and they said they spent 1 to 5 minutes. I know I'm dreaming. 5 to 10 minutes. 10 to 15. 15 to 20. 20 to 25. And 25 to 30. Now, maybe you only really had 5 different answers, so maybe you could have just put in 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It kind of depends on what your question was, whether you would have a single number there or a range. And then your value is your result. So how many students said 1 to 5? I'm guessing probably only 1 or 2 there. How many said 5 to 10? Maybe I had 4 there. Maybe I had 5 from 10 to 15. Maybe 3 from 15 to 20. Maybe 6 from 20 to 25. And 1 from 25 to 30. The minimum and maximum value is so that your graph knows how high and low it needs to go. So we obviously went from 0 to 30 here. Alright, so there my data is entered. My labels, I really don't need to add any extra labels at this point, so I can skip over that and I can do a preview. And there I have my bar graph. Again, nothing fancy. I could have gone back in and fancied it up a little bit, but I'm content with that. It says the minutes, the numbers of teenagers, how many minutes you can spend texting, and your name will go there. So then you can say, you can either print it, or you can download it, or you can email it to your learning manager. So whatever you feel comfortable with, and then you can go back and start over and start a new graph. So the other graph that start over. So then the other graph that you're going to use is a pie graph. And why we want to use a pie graph is because it's going to show that kind of probability where most students fall. And that's going to be one of the questions that you're going to answer on your mission guide. So for this one, let's give you some interesting results. Again, design, if you want to use pattern, if you want to use some other colors, feel free to, but what I'm mostly concerned about is your data. The graph title would be the same, kind of, how many minutes you can spend texting. Again, you put your name on here. And actually, for this one, let's say, how many texts do teens send a day? I think was actually how it was. So let's say we wanted to see how many kids send under 25, how many send 25, how many send 50, how many send 100, and how many send 1,000. So there's my different colors, and again I'm going to enter my values here. So under 25, I'm guessing not too many. And then my 5 at 25, I'm going to have, maybe let's put 3 there, 2 there, and we have 10 that send 1,000. Labels again, you can skip unless you want to fancy it up, and then there is my pie graph, so I can see, if I had to think where are most teenagers going to end up, how many texts does the average teenager send, I'm going to be looking at this big blue chunk, right? Almost 50% of teens in this small study send 1,000 texts a day. So that would be the data that I would really want to present to my team. Again, you can either print it or download it or email it. And if you have any trouble, there are also options to create graphs in Microsoft Word and some other creative programs, so feel free to go above and beyond. But this is a great program. Again, it's got the tips on the side, and examples, and is a great program to use. And again, in most cases, you'll use the bar and the pie graph, but if you feel that something would benefit from a line or an area or an XY coordinate, you can use that as well. And if you have any questions, contact your language manager.